Did you guys enjoy the Simon Says? Wasn't that so fun? Wasn't it so cool that we could like do all these sorts of stuff out through Zoom? And like, I would have never thought. But you know, I think God is so good at giving us ideas and making things possible in ways that you wouldn't have even thought. So I'm so glad you guys were able to join us this weekend. Definitely, this weekend was such a blessing to me. I hope that maybe the next camp we can all be together again. And even though we are apart, God is so good, and so good that we are able just to come together and be able to participate with this. So I'm so glad you guys could come, and I hope that you will just be blessed by. We have one more sermon from Pastor Jeff. I hope you'll be blessed by it.
Ghost, He met me there. I stood on the rock was sound. And then the love of Jesus came tumbling down. He asked me how I know that He saved my soul. I dug down deep, but I found pure gold. It's all, Jesus is all, my all in all. And I know that He'll answer me when I call. Walking by my side, I'm satisfied. King Jesus is all, my all in all. Well, I went out to meet the Lord. Oh yeah, I got down on my knees, said my very first prayer, amen. You know the Holy Ghost met me there. I stood on the rock was sound. And then the love of Jesus came tumbling down. He asked me how I know that He saved my soul. I dug down deep and I found pure gold. Jesus is all, my all in all, my all in all. And I know He'll answer me when I call. Walking by my side, oh, I'm satisfied. King Jesus is all, my all in all. King Jesus is all, my all in all. King Jesus is and my all in all. Lord of all creation, of water, earth, and sky, the heavens are Your tabernacle. Glory to the Lord on high, God of wonders beyond our galaxy. You are holy, holy. The universe declares Your majesty. You are holy, holy, Lord of heaven and earth. Lord of heaven and earth. Early in the morning, I will celebrate the light. And when I stumble in the darkness, I will call Your name by night. God of wonders beyond our galaxy, You are holy, holy. The universe declares Your majesty. You are holy, holy, Lord of heaven and earth. Lord of heaven and earth. Hallelujah to the Lord of heaven and earth.
Hallelujah to the Lord of heaven and earth. Hallelujah to the Lord of heaven and earth.
God of wonders beyond our galaxy, You are holy, holy. The universe declares Your majesty. You are holy, holy. you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Oh, and I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, and you tell just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I am loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, it's love so undeniable. I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable. I can hardly think as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love. Love, love, you're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I am loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am.
Well, unfortunately, this is our last time to be together for prayer, but I hope you guys have been blessed from this weekend. I hope that you'll be able to take something and be able to share it with your friends, share it with your family, and just grow through this experience. You know, I know it's hard that we can't be together, we can't be at a Pathfinder fair, but, you know, God has blessed in so many ways, and I think that we want Him to come soon, and I hope that the next camporee will be in heaven. I hope that we can be with each other there instead of here on earth. So let's just pray one last time. Dear Father in heaven, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for all that you give us. Thank you for giving us life. And Father, as we kind of go our separate ways, as we return to our normal lives, even in this unsettled time, I pray that we will realize that, you know, even though this virus is contagious, you know, hope is more contagious than fear. And I pray that we will keep on hoping, keep on trusting that you will come someday soon, and that you will wipe away every tear. You will get rid of all disease, and it will be a perfect world, and we'll be able to live together with you. So I pray that as we go to our normal lives, I pray that you will help us to be a witness to those around us, so that we can all one day be in heaven with you again. In your name, amen. Thank you guys so much. I just want to remind you again that anytime you guys can again go to activityoutpost.com/prayer, and you can go there and write down your prayer requests, and they will be prayed for even after this weekend is over. So anytime you have a prayer request or a praise, we will come by and we will pray for them. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, rest of your month, and I hope that we can meet together someday soon.
Good morning. I'm so glad you were able to join us again. I hope you've had a wonderful last couple of days doing activities and honors and all that kind of stuff. Again today, if you want to chat in and talk with us, we'd love to connect with you. Just chat in questions, or you can make some statements, whatever. And I have a question for you. We'd love to hear you give us the answer here in just a moment when you figure out what the answer is. So in a few moments, I'm going to tell a story. And in the story, there's a blind person and they drive something. The question is, what do they drive? What does the blind person drive? And if you would like to pray, we would love for you to connect with one of our prayer warriors. Just click on the live prayer button and we will spend some time praying with you. A few years back, I was working at camp. I was in college and I was working at a camp called Camp Timber Ridge. It's not a big camp, it's a small camp. It has a small lake, unlike Camp Miveden. Those of you that have been to Camp Miveden, has a big, beautiful lake. This camp has a small lake. And I was working there, and one of the camps that we would work at and that would come every year to camp was what we call blind camp. So all these people that are visually impaired would come to camp. Some people couldn't see at all. They were totally blind. Other people could only see partially, but all of them were legally blind. And one of the jobs I did at camp was driving a boat. So that summer, I was in the boat, we were driving, the camp was in full swing, and one of the cabins came down to take boat rides. Now the person coming down or the cabin coming down had a few new campers in it that I'd never seen before. This was my second or third year working at camp. And so as we started getting them into the boat, and you have to be, as a blind person trying to get in the boat, you need to help them, show them, talk to them where the steps are going to be and make sure they don't trip and fall. And so you help each person and then you help show them where to sit. And so finally everybody got seated and I started up the boat and we were going to take a ride several turns around the lake. Again, it was a small lake, so we'd go around several times. These campers loved going around the lake. And the young lady sitting right next to me, she was about 19 years old. She turns to me and she says, "So what's your name?" I said, "Well, my name is Jeff." She said, "So what do you do at camp?" I said, "Well, I drive this boat." She said, No, what's everything you do?" I said, "Oh, well, okay, so I drive the boat, I counsel some, I lifeguard, I teach some classes, I help with programs." She's like, "Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Do you like it?" I said, "Yeah, I love it. I've come back multiple summers. This is a great place to be. I love camp." And then she said, "What's your story?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "Well, where'd you grow up? Anything unusual happened in your life?" So I shared a few things that had happened in my life and kind of where I'd grown up and some things like that. And then she said, "Well, you want to hear my story?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to hear your story." She said, "Well, I grew up," and she mentioned a place. And then she said, "My life wasn't very good. I lived kind of in a bad part of town. I lived in a place that people weren't always nice. And I was about 16 years old and I was living in an apartment and my boyfriend came to my apartment. And he wasn't a very nice guy either. And he walked into my apartment. He was angry, which he got angry a lot. And he pulled out a gun, which I didn't know he had a gun, and I got scared. He started waving it around. He was yelling about something, I don't remember what. And he pointed at the gun at my head and he shot me in the head. Well, she was sitting right there in front of me, so I knew she didn't die. But, I mean, somebody getting shot in the head with a gun is terrible. And I looked at her and she had a sad face on. And she said, "I don't know why he did it. It changed my life forever." I said, "Well, what happened?" She said, "Well, that's why I'm blind today. said, what do you mean? She said, well, when he shot me, the bullet severed the optic nerves in my eyes, and everything else is fine. I can think normal. I can do school. I'm going to school. I can basically do everything. I can walk. I can use my hands. So nothing else in my brain was messed up. Just my eyes, and I'm permanently blind, 100% blind, for the rest of my life. And I just sat there driving the boat. There was silence except for the boat engine, and I thought, wow, this is awful. And I'm so sad, and I don't know what to say. And she said, you're sad for me, aren't you? I said, yeah, a little bit. I said, that's awful. It's awful what happened to you. She said, it is. But I'm not sad. She said, I have hope. She said, a few years ago, I found Jesus. And he changed my life. And now I have hope. And that's part of why I came to this camp. Because I wanted to be around other Christians. And I have hope because of Jesus. Because he changed my life today. And he will continue to change my life. Wow. I heard that story. And I've thought about it multiple times since then. This young woman, she had hope. She had hope. And it's because Jesus turned her whole life around. It's just awesome. You know, I had the opportunity of interviewing somebody else. And I want you to hear a little bit of their story. They also went to a country far, far away. And maybe you've heard about that country before, but we're going to hear about that country in just a moment. Oh, and by the way, before we go to this interview, I just want to let you know, after that cabin was done talking and she had talked about hope, I just had to do something for this wonderful young person. And she had said, as she was getting off, she said, Jeff, could I drive the boat? And I said, no, not on your life. And you can't drive the boat. You can't. She said, what, because I can't see? And she kind of made a joke about it, and I didn't know what to say. And I looked at the other person that was helping me at the dock, and the other person said, well, why don't everybody go ahead and get off the boat? Well, she was the last one there, and I motioned to the person, since this person couldn't see, I motioned them, just take them with her. And so she took the rest of the cabin, and another lifeguard came over, and I said, do you really want to drive this boat? She said, oh, really? Could I? I said, as long as you don't tell the rest of your campers in your cabin. Okay, it's a secret, it's a secret. I won't say anything. I said, okay. So this is the only time I've ever done this. So we put her in the driver's seat. Now a boat only has forward throttle and neutral and reverse. There's no brakes on a boat, and then a steering wheel. And so she sat in the seat. I said, I'm going to stand right behind you. We're going to go very slow. And I am the only one that gets to touch the throttle. And you have to steer where I say, otherwise I will be driving. She said, okay, that's fine. She says, you just tell me left and right, and I'll drive. So the other staff person sat right beside me, and she got behind that steering wheel. She put her hands on it, and I took the throttle on the other side, and I slowly put it in gear, and the boat slowly moved forward. And she sat there behind the steering wheel, and she had the biggest smile on her face I have ever seen. It was amazing. Hope. It can change our world. Let's check out this interview. Hi, Ronnie. It's good to see you, and thanks for being part of this interview today.
Absolutely.
So, everybody that's watching, I've gotten to know Ronnie because we've worked at camp. And Ronnie, how many years have you worked at camp now?
I believe 5. This will be 6.
6 years. Wow.
Yeah.
So what have you done at camp?
The first few years, I was a counselor and taught digital photography. And then these last 3 now, I've been the activities director.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And we are hoping to have one more summer of camp coming up.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, just tell us just a little bit about yourself. Where are you in life? School, work, where you live, all those kind of things, just so we know about you a little bit.
All right. So I just came back from a student missions year in Egypt because of the whole virus shenanigan. These last 3 years, I've been a music education major at Walla Walla University. And
what's your instrument you play?
I play trumpet.
Okay, awesome.
I'm hoping to get into the choirs and start singing as well. I feel like that'll broaden my horizons.
Yep.
And currently I live in Spokane, at UCA.
Okay. Awesome. So, yeah, really, actually not too far from me because I live in Spokane. So we're about 40 minutes apart or so. So you mentioned something about an experience you had this last year. Tell us what you did. What was that all about?
So I felt a call to go serve this last year as a student missionary, and it happened to be in Egypt, in Cairo. I served at a high school as an assistant boys dean, and I taught geography, government, English. I was a music coordinator. I wore many hats, let's just say that. So I took a break from schooling to go serve this year.
That's awesome. So you were in Egypt. You said Cairo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And did you travel the country? I mean, when I think of Egypt, I think of pyramids, and I think of pharaohs and the Nile River and stuff like that. Did you see some of those things?
I did. I went to Giza a couple times. Those are the main three that you see. The one with the broken top and all that kind of stuff. I ended up going to the Step Pyramid as well. I didn't make it to Upper Egypt, which is, the Valley of the Kings and Aswan and Luxor. I never made it down there, which makes me sad. But I did end up traveling to Athens as well as Venice and Rome. So
wow,
that was a fun experience.
That's great. So when you were there, what's Cairo like? Give us a word picture of what is it like to be in Cairo?
Well, it's a desert, so it's flat and dry and hot.
Yeah.
All of their buildings, at least in the older section, so there's two sections of the city. There's what they call New Cairo and Old Cairo. They're starting to upgrade a lot of buildings and make them more westernized. Mm-hmm. Prices are also western in that part of the city. And then you go over a little bit and you get into Old Cairo. Everything is concrete and bricks, every single building. The streets are mostly dirt still, except they have this thing called the Ring Road, which goes all the way around. It's like a highway for us.
Sure.
A freeway.
Sure.
So it's the main road, but that's paved.
Yeah.
But all the, the offshoots of it are dirt, and it only rains a few times a year. So we bless the rains down in Africa when that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much Cairo. It's a lot of still very, very old historical things mixed with modern technology. Well, there's a lot of different aspects to this, and I'll focus on two, I think. One of them, the community atmosphere is a lot nicer than living here in the States. They have a lot of, everything there is based on honor, and honor, I guess. And so as a foreigner, they respect you a lot. And so when you're bartering or something, people are going to make sure, they understand English and Arabic for the most part. But if somebody's trying to swindle you as a foreigner, they're going to come stand up for you. And something that I got asked a lot was, do you feel safe? I felt probably safer in Egypt than I do here in some cities in the States.
Wow.
They do have a military presence, it's very militaristic still. But as a foreigner, they don't want anything to happen to you.
Sure.
Because tourism is such a big part of what Egypt is about. And so I felt very safe the whole time while I was there. So anyway, as a culture, they're very honor based. So it's, everybody's fair for the most part, and they're going to stick up for people that are being wronged and things like that.
Sure.
The other part is something I figured out very early is we in America don't understand what a culture is. Egypt is Egyptians. That is one, they all look the same, they dress the same, they eat the same, they all have most of the same beliefs. Most of the country is Muslim. So, some of it is Christian, and so they all have the same like values, cultural values,
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of things like that.
So I have to ask, you ate Egyptian food or whatever food they eat. Was there something specific that was really good that you don't get here?
I gotta say falafel. For traditional Egyptian falafel, they have the best falafel in the Middle East, I think.
Okay.
Most people I've talked to have agreed with that.
Okay. All right. All right. A good falafel is awesome.
Yeah. And another thing, what they do, they just call it crepes there, but they take a crepe, they fold it in half, put like ketchup and cheese and fries, and then they roll it into like a cone, and then you eat it like a burrito or something. And that, it sounds like very fattening, and it is, but it's really, really good.
It doesn't really sound super great either to me, but hey, I get that.
It tastes really good.
What kind of needs did you see there, and what was the need you were trying to go fill?
I don't know that I saw a specific need. I wanted to be a good influence, or something a vessel that God could use, I guess.
Sure.
In Egypt, per se, it didn't fit a lot of my skill set, or it was a lot of outside of my comfort zone, I guess. And so I felt useless, but in my uselessness, God was able to work through that. But for high school I feel is a very impressionable age. I want to teach at a high school when I finish college. And so going there and experiencing the high school life away from where I've grown up, of course, and seeing that they're so ready to soak up information and learn about life.
Right.
And if you can do that in a God-centered way, that can make changes in a lot of people.
Absolutely.
In kids. So, and I just recently, it was my birthday, I received a little video from a lot of my kids that I taught. And, things that, like little conversations that we would just have that meant so much to those kids. And, it's just what I do, you're going to talk to people, but they meant so much to those kids. And they told me that, and it just shows me how much really God can do through us. So.
Absolutely. So, there's a lot of Pathfinders, maybe Pathfinder families, Pathfinders themselves watching this right now. What would you say to them about a need out there? I mean, how you, from what you saw and from your experience there, how could Pathfinders see and felt needs that are real today among maybe their friends or their communities?
Of course, serving in a different culture is a totally different thing, but I think often we forget to serve at home. I know it's a struggle for me as well. When I'm going to school and things, I just forget about, that I'm here on this earth to be God's hands and feet. I forget about that. And so something that I hope to do when I grow up is to really reach out into my community. It's something that I feel UCA does, Hope Task Force. I know a lot of Pathfinders are UCA students, or were, and Hope Task Force is helping other people everywhere. So they go out into the community and they do community service projects, things like that. And not even just that, simple little things like being kind to your neighbors, like helping people out when they need it. I think we often forget how much the little things can mean to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, and you said it meant a lot to you that you had that they sent you those videos.
Yeah.
And maybe you didn't realize before that those little conversations you had with these Egyptian young men made the impression that they did on their lives. And even that little conversation is really important.
Yeah. It makes you a little, it worries you because when you can have such an impact, with everything you say, you really have to, I don't want to make this sound the wrong way, but you have to be careful,
Right.
You have to open your heart up to God and let him do what he needs to do.
Right. Absolutely. So, when you go over to another country, when you you've traveled around the United States, you've been different places, and now you've traveled other places in the world. What's your impression about hope that people can have? Maybe Christian hope, maybe hope in general. Is there hope out there? Are people just in despair? Are they're like, I have a lot of hope. What about you? And you're going to be graduating soon. And what kind of hope do you have for your future?
I think there is hope out there. I think as a Adventist, I think we have a very hopeful message.
Right.
We share, right?
Yep.
So while I was in Egypt, most of it is Muslim. The school I was at was surrounded by 9 mosques within seeing and hearing distance. If you know anything about Muslims, they pray 5 times a day. And mosques have loudspeakers in the top. And so some little dude's inside with a microphone praying, and they all go off at the same time 5 times a day. And, it's annoying, but I gained such a large respect for them, because they go to their church and they pray 5 times a day. And even praying, I don't even know that I pray 5 times a day, consciously. I totally forgot what your question was. Oh, hope. There we go.
Yeah.
So I think from my traveling this year, I think there's a lot of people without hope. There's more people without hope than there are with hope. They're trying to fill it with something. What do we talk about the God hole? I've heard that term mentioned.
Right.
And it's truth. People are searching it for something to fill that void. So they turn to drugs, they turn to sex, they turn to whatever they can get their hands on, money. And so if we can give them something else, something that is useful and healthy, and I don't know about you guys, but I feel like when I do something nice for someone, that just makes me feel good.
Right.
It's like addicting.
Right. Yeah.
And so sharing our message of hope, I feel, is a big thing. And that can be shared, people that are without hope, and they see you in these crazy times that we're living in, and they see you smiling and still having fun and having a good time, and they're going to ask, they're going to wonder, why does this person still have hope?
What would you say is your hope?
Well, from my life, is this for my life or for like
whatever you think it is? Whatever you think it is.
For my life, I hope to influence people towards Christ. I guess I want to be the hands and feet of Christ that they can see.
Yep.
It's hard for me because I haven't done a lot of, door-to-door sorts of things. So bringing it up to people is still kind of hard for me.
Sure.
But I always try to live so that people will kind of wonder what's different about me. I try to do that.
Right.
In a spiritual sense, I think it's looking forward to what's to come. It's, looking past all the bad, I guess. And there's a lot of that going around recently.
Yeah. So. Yeah, there is. Right. No, that's good. That's good. It's beautiful. I have the same hope to be the hands and feet of Jesus now. And also hope that he's coming soon. And that we all can actually someday be in heaven with him.
I think it's something I learned while I was over there as well is I don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
To share my message, I guess. I was always focused on, I have to become a better person in order that I can share this message with people. And that's definitely not true. When people see that you have the same struggles as them, but you have hope anyway, they're going to want that.
Ronnie, thank you so much for sharing that interview. Wasn't that awesome? Hearing Ronnie's experience of how God has worked in his life, of the hope that we have in Jesus, of being able to meet other people's needs. It reminds me of a story in the Bible, one of my favorites. It's found in John chapter 4. It's an amazing story. We oftentimes call it the woman at the well. Well, here's what happened. Jesus was headed on his way to Galilee. And he decided to not take the straight route, but rather to go through Samaria. Now, if you remember me saying this before, the Jewish people really did look down on the Samaritans in that day. And Jesus wanted to help his disciples begin to understand that everybody matters. God loves every person equally, no matter who they are. And so he takes this detour into Samaria. And finally, about noon, they get at this place where there is a well, and they call it Jacob's well. And so they stop there, and the disciples are hungry, Jesus is hungry, and the disciples go to town to get some food while Jesus rests at the well. Well, while he's there, this woman comes up, and she starts to pull up some water. Now, she had probably glanced at Jesus. That's what I imagine happened. She just looked over at him, and she saw Jesus and turned away and started pulling up the water quickly. And she recognized, that he was a Jew. And then Jesus spoke to her. He said, do you mind maybe getting some water for me? And she looked over at him, startled. What? This man's talking to me? Why? Why would a Jew talk to me? And so she looked over at him. She said, you want me to get some water for you? And Jesus just looked at her and smiled, and then a conversation ensued. You can read it in John chapter 4. And Jesus and her began talking. Jesus starts telling her all this wonderful stuff, this gift that he has, this gift of the water of life. And Jesus then continues on, and he starts to tell her all the things that had happened in her life, things that she hadn't told anybody. And it starts to dawn on her that this man Jesus is more than just a man, that he's actually at least a prophet, and maybe more. You see, the Samaritans believed in a Messiah coming too. So maybe he was the long-for, hoped Messiah. I mean, maybe he was the Messiah. And Jesus kept on talking with her and letting her know. And towards the end of their conversation, John says that he lets her know that he is the promised Messiah. Wow! It just blew her mind. You see, what Jesus did is he identified a need in this woman. He identified a need that she had. She had a life that wasn't great. And she needed some help. She needed some hope. And so Jesus came along and he started talking with her. He started offering her what she couldn't have. And that what she couldn't get, what she didn't know how to get, was the water of life. Having Jesus in her life. And that would fill her up. Well, after Jesus told her this, and his disciples had returned from town, and they're looking at Jesus, startled that he's talking to a Samaritan woman, she leaves. And she runs back to her town, and she starts telling everybody about this man, Jesus. She says, he told me everything about my life. I can't believe he did this. You guys got to come check him out. Maybe he is the Messiah. Maybe this is the person. And the whole town comes out. Maybe this could be the Messiah, they think. And they start listening. They come to check Jesus out. You know, in the end, they actually agree with her that yes, this is the Messiah. And Jesus tells many people about himself, and many, many people believe on Jesus that day. What had started all this? Jesus, again, had identified a need in this woman's life. She needed Jesus. She needed the water of life, as Jesus said. Jesus then took action. He didn't just sit there and say that. He spent time with her. He let her know that he cared. He let her know that he knew all about her, that he really could journey with her through life because he was the Messiah. And that changed her world. And because he's the Messiah, that gave her hope. And that hope meant that today, that day, she could be a part of God's kingdom. She could follow Jesus. And from then for eternity, she could be part of the kingdom. She could be a child of God. Isn't that awesome? First, Jesus met the need. He saw the need in this woman. Then he met it by taking action. And then he gave her hope, because he, after all, is the Messiah. Over the last few days, we have talked about seeing the need in other people. And we've talked about sharing the hope that we have in Jesus. And one of those things that we've put in there is, once we see the need in people, then we want to put action into place. And then that action actually starts to illustrate the hope that we have in Jesus, and other people see it. And it gives us an opportunity to share Jesus with everybody. It's amazing. And I hope that you have started to see, if you haven't already, that you have a need for Jesus too. That you can have the same hope that happens in everybody that lives Jesus daily. So I want to give you the opportunity to take some action. I would really like you to prayerfully consider a choice for Jesus. And here are some of the choices you can think about. Maybe you just want to learn more about Jesus. Maybe you don't know a lot about Jesus, and so you just want to learn more. Or maybe you're interested in going a step further, saying, I want to commit to this. When we do that, we call that baptism. So maybe you want to study to know about Jesus so that you can be baptized. And maybe you've already studied about Jesus, and maybe you've already been baptized. Maybe you just want to tell other people about Jesus. Well, that's an awesome thing too. And hopefully this has encouraged you to do that more. So whatever it is, Jesus knows your heart. He knows exactly what you're thinking, just like the woman at the well. And he wants you to see the need in others and share the hope of Jesus today. So let me pray for you right now. Let's bow our heads, close our eyes. Dear God, you're an amazing God, and we love you so much. Right now, I just pray that your Spirit would work on every person that is listening, to work on their hearts to change them, to be open to your leading, to your guiding, whether it's sharing you because they know you already and they just want to share you with everybody, the hope that is Jesus. Or if somebody here doesn't know you yet, and they want to learn more, maybe they want to be baptized. Dear God, I pray that your Spirit would lead and guide each of these things on each of our hearts and our minds. We thank you for doing that. We thank you for leading us every single day. In your name we pray. Amen. We would love to hear the decision that you've made. And so if you would just go to the chat link, wherever that is, if you would just go where that chat link is, and there's a link there, click on that, and it will open up a thing we're calling a decision card. And you can go there and you can click on different links and tell us what decision you have made. If you can't get there from the link in the chat, you should also have an info sheet, and it gives you a link there as well. Just go to that link and you can fill that out and send it in. We want to know what decisions you have made about following Jesus. I have been so honored to be with you these last couple days. Thank you for joining us. And don't forget to see need, take some action, and share the hope of Jesus Christ.
Well, that wraps it up. And I just want to say a special thank you to each one of you for choosing to spend your weekend with us as part of this virtual outreach fair. Wherever you're joining us from, wherever you've been joining us from across the country, around the Northwest, here in Upper Columbia Conference, or around the globe, we've just been delighted. It's been our honor and our privilege to have you be with us. I hope you've had fun. I hope you've been blessed. And for some of you, I just want to say congratulations, because in the last few minutes, some of you, as you listen to Pastor Jeff, have gone to that commitment form online and you have made your decision to take the next step in your relationship with Jesus. Some of you have said, I'm so excited about this. Some of you have said, for the first time, I want to accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Yes! So excited. Others of you have said, you know what? I think it's time for me to start preparing to take that next step and to prepare through Bible study to be baptized. And I'm very pleased and excited about that as well. Others of you said, you know what? I've already been prepared. I've been studying. I'm ready to take the step of scheduling my baptism and making that public profession and following Jesus' example in front of my church family and friends. So proud of you. So excited for that. And maybe the most important decision of all that some of you have made today is to simply say, you know, I've been baptized. I've accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior. Today, I'm making a choice to recommit my life to Jesus. I want to keep walking down that road. And I just want to say, yes, well done. Let's continue to make those choices, to plant those flags along the way, to say, I choose a lifetime of following Jesus. Well, thank you again for joining us for this weekend. We'll be in touch with those of you about all the details of following up, like patches and different things like that. So you'll be hearing from us by email, but I just want to say again, thank you so much for being with us. And to the Upper Columbia Conference Club Ministry team, Pathfinders, adventurers, and staff, I just want to say it's been a pleasure. Farewell.